presents itself as a truly uncomfortable object, a bit like the retrogradation of Mercury. It represents vital suspension, passive defense, the shock caused by trauma, the internal break, decisional paralysis, the state of alert, like a sentry. Ritona stops everything, in a state of protective immobility. It just seems like prudence, but it can also be a stasis of indefinite duration. It represents doing nothing to preserve one's integrity. It represents the bridge, the river ford, the reaction to fear, the inhibition, the block. It is like a psychic airbag. It freezes, slowing down the flow of life in a catatonic phase. If you want to know why a person says he feels as if his life were a big waiting room, where he feels he always has to wait for events, look at the position of Ritona in the birth chart. Máni represents the suspicious intellect, which focuses on detail and the symbolic perception of concepts. He is meticulous, an analytical observer. He focuses on his beloved theories. On the positive side, he applies the detachment that science requires, but often presents himself as distorted, with visual vigilance, a fixed gaze, the analysis of potential dangers, trying to understand all the hows, with clear vision. He is the investigator of knowledge. He acts as a monitor to allow all his known research, collecting data and trying to understand the weak points. It often veers towards conspiracy theory and cognitive paranoia. So if you want to know if a person has a tendency to see conspiracies everywhere or to feel persecuted by others, look at the position of Máni in the birth chart. Goibniu represents providence, technical ability, know-how, acts as a trigger for actions, represents the ability to solve problems, to apply oneself, and sees the opportunity to demonstrate what one is capable of. It is the triggering force, the tactic, the decision-making test, the sprint, the readiness, the ability to make things work, especially technologies. The focus on the objective, the manufacturing, the practice, but also the obsession with the tool. And on the negative, it almost certainly hides ulterior motives. Goibniu also represents technocracy, the intervention, the trigger. He presses the switch, strikes, repairs, finds the solution, with technical precision, finally demonstrating that he knows how to do something important. If you want to know what relationship a person has with providence, and how he demonstrates his technological abilities, look at Goibniu in the birth chart. Salacia represents business management, planning, oscillating between adaptation and escape and procrastination. It focuses on the reality of facts and markets, on the plan, the route to follow, the business strategy, the management of what is possible, of the journey, deciding which direction to go, which commercial route to follow, which long-term strategy to adopt. On the negative side, it navigates uncertainty, waiting too long for the right moment to act. If you want to know if a person is suitable to manage a company, look at Salacia in the birth chart. Varuna represents narration and the invention of one's own facade personality. He deals with spread fake news, making translations. He is passionate about foreign languages. He delights in stories and myths. It represents the verb, uttered in a soliloquy, where everyday life is mythologized between epics, legends, and propaganda, with a perhaps a little too solipsistic background. On the positive side, he focuses on the description of the official version. On the negative side, he makes astonishing proclamations, bewitching the gullible. If you want to know if a person is capable of writing, if he has good oratory, how he invents fictitious worlds, or if he is a spreader of falsehoods, if you want to know how he describes himself, look at the position of Varuna in the birth chart. Uni is a version of the goddess Hera. It represents the strategic alliance, cooperation, utilitarianism, the power coalition, the company and the partner, the business, the agreements, the contract, the false harmony, the symbiosis, the legal emotional pact, the relational contract, the stipulation, the signature, the mutual commitment, the social value. If you want to know if a person tends to exploit others for personal gain, look at the position of Uni in the birth chart.